If someone was to ask you who the richest man in the world would be, who would you say? Who would be the first to come to mind? John D. Rockefeller, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates? How about none of them? How about the King of Kings and the King of Mali, Mansa Musa? Mansa Musa, also called Kankan Musa, ruled the West African Empire of Mali at its height. Under his reign, Mali expanded its territories and strengthened its control of West Africa's salt and gold trades. Despite what he did physically, he also had a vast cultural influence on Mali, which I will expand upon in this presentation. According to Turkish scholars Paul Lund and Abdullah Masoud Agir, one way Mansa Musa gained his influence and power was through the trading of gold along the coast of Mali. At the time, in the 14th century, it was believed that he was the largest producer of gold at the time in the world. But however, to his detriment, Musa spent the gold that he produced in an extravagant fashion, and thus this caused the value of the gold to depreciate over time. Due to his massive spending habits and lifestyle, it took the situation in Mali a long time to improve and be restored to its former glory. As someone who has researched Musa and his influence, Paul Lund and Abdullah's article was helpful because it portrayed the negative aspects of Musa's life. These negative aspects are necessary to be highlighted because it gives a full view of what his character might have been like as ruler of Mali. The article from American journalist Jan Jansen concerns the Shanjata, which takes place in Mali. He presents something in the article that surprised me during my research. He states that the character Fajiji are identifiable as characters of Mansa, but just in fictional form. The pilgrimage tradition and the character who is referred to as Musa in the Shanjata are so ingrained that in traditional Islamic texts, the name Musa is actually synonymous with pilgrim. This was an expansion of his influence because it showed that in this epic, he has a character that is inspired by him. The article from the Journal of World History by Megan Kita details the intricate history between Africans and Asians. This article corroborates my theory about Musa's cultural influence because the Asians were able to see Musa and they began to plan their own hajjs to Mecca. Nawal Morkos Bell speaks on a problem that I had while conducting my own research on the life of Mansa Musa. It is that the documentation of this time period has been lost to history. This information was lost due to subpar preservation of this time period. But historians can gather through extensive research that he had a possible reign of 25 years. The only event during the entire reign of Mansa Musa which can be dated with certainty is his passage through Cairo on the way to his pilgrimage in 1324 AD. Another event which historians and researchers can corroborate on is that Mansa Musa sent a deputation to congratulate Abu Hassan, the Sultan of Fez, on the taking of Tlemcen, an event which occurred on 1337 AD. The article from Stephen Ajayapong states other means where Mansa made his wealth other than gold. One of these methods was through the trade and production of salt. During this time frame, people who could actually afford this salt that was being traded would use it to preserve items such as meat and corpses. Salt from the Sahara Desert was one of the major trade goods of ancient West Africa, where very little areas of the mineral could be found. The most common exchange was salt for gold that came from the mines of southern West Africa, and due to Musa having the most wealth of any African leader, he made money hand over fist from the salt trade. The article from the Library of Congress is one that is helpful to my research because it speaks on the history of the Ghana Empire, which came before the Malis. The Ghana Empire was set the stage for the Malis because they were the first to trade gold and salt for currency to amass wealth. They also produced iron, copper, and other precious metals for wealth as well. When the Ghana Empire collapsed in 12th century AD, the Mali Empire took over. Musa, after obtaining control, would then do the same things as the Ghanaians did and continued the production of precious metals for his empire as well. The Library of Congress also touches on how Musa even brought the places of Mali and Timbuktu to the attention of the Europeans, who, in tribute to his rulership, placed him holding a gold nugget on the map of Europe and Africa in 1375. Amir Bash, who's a member of the African Journal of Historical Studies, speaks on the nation of Kanem, who traded with their western neighbors Mali, which was run by Mansa Musa at the time. This made Musa very rich due to their exchange of gold, and this corroborates my sources that shows that Musa made his wealth through the trading of gold. For my final article, I used my source from Warren C. Schultz, who ties together Mansa Musa's connection and his empire that was created through the trading of gold. He expands on the various concepts that I have discovered in my research and presents his information in an appending manner. He states that Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca also became an occasion for him to display the exceptional wealth of his empire. As befitted of a powerful ruler, he traveled with a large entourage. One account says that there was also 60,000 porters and a vast caravan of camels carrying supplies and provisions. So in conclusion, Mansa Musa, who's also known as Kankan Musa, is a legendary figure for not only what he did physically, but his cultural influence, which could be felt in epics such as the Sanjata and the Orinoco. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation.